Okay, a few thoughts about Pete Hegseth, Jeffrey Goldberg, text thread, Mike Waltz, war plans. Since the first story came out yesterday, today's Wednesday, March 26th, Tulsi Gabbard lied to Congress and said there was no classified information and there were no detailed attack plans in the text thread. She was on the text thread. The CIA director lied to Congress and said there was no classified information in that text thread. Donald Trump lied to everybody and said there was no classified information in that text thread. When you look at the guidelines for what should be classified and the timing of that text message that contained these planes are launching at this time, drones are launching at this time, these planes are launching at this time, that should have been classified secret information. Pete Hegseth violated the Espionage Act by sharing that. That's a felony. The Secretary of Defense committed a felony in sharing this information. It is obvious to anybody with a brain that the information that he shared was sensitive and should have been classified. Had Jeffrey Goldberg receiving that particular text message 2 hours before these attacks were supposed to start, if he had called somebody at the Defense Department and said, "Can you confirm this information?" they would have insisted that he hold off on publishing that information until after the attacks had taken place. That's clear. Tulsi Gabbard lied to Congress. CIA Director John Ratcliffe lied to Congress. And the funny thing about all of this is one of the things that Donald Trump is most concerned about is that his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, who invited Jeffrey Goldberg into this chat, Donald Trump is gravely concerned at why Mike Waltz had Jeffrey Goldberg's phone number in the first place. Because people in the Trump administrations leak to the press constantly. Why would his national security advisor have the phone number, the personal cell phone number of the senior editor of The Atlantic? And don't forget that it was Jeffrey Goldberg who a few years ago wrote the story detailing multiple accounts from members of Trump's first administration where Trump referred to members of the military as suckers and losers. Jeffrey Goldberg is the one who wrote that article. And it's also very, very clear that the entire national security team of the Trump administration is using the Signal app to avoid any accountability in future, to avoid any paper trail of what they're doing, and to avoid the presence of any evidence of any criminal wrongdoing. Yes, they are all members of the executive branch. The only member of the executive branch that the Supreme Court gave immunity to for criminal prosecution is the president, Donald Trump. Every other member of his administration in the executive branch does not have immunity from criminal prosecution. That's why they're using the Signal app, because those messages disappear. Now, Pete Hegseth committed a felony and violated the Espionage Act by sharing that information in a text thread because it should have been classified. I have not heard a peep out of Attorney General Pam Bondi or FBI Director Kash Patel as to whether or not they're going to investigate this felony that was committed by the Secretary of Defense in sharing that information. Although it was reported a few minutes ago, I did a TikTok on this, Judge Boasberg, the judge who's on the Venezuelan deportation case, who's given Trump and his administration absolute fits over the last week and a half, Judge Boasberg was just assigned to litigation related to this Signal text chain. So there's that. This is an absolute shit show of proportions that I don't think we have ever seen in this country before. I'm half speechless.